可以进去吗？
可以进去啊。
怎么进去啊？
带你进去啊。
We're literally riding into oncoming traffic. What am I doing with my life?
咱们合个影。
好，行。
跟你站一块儿，我觉得我好矮哦。
我1.94米。Good morning, folks, and welcome to a spring morning here in Wuhan. Spring. What a time of year, especially here in Wuhan. Summer's not yet arrived, which is boiling hot. Winter is over, which is pretty freezing cold. It's a nice time to be here. Nicer still, because there's lots of pretty flowers on display. Now, personally, I'm not much of a flower guy. However, there are some particular flowers here in Wuhan, which are, I don't want to say world famous, but they're certainly famous in this part of the world. So famous, if that's the right word, that to see them in season, you usually need to book a ticket online because the people coming to see these flowers just flock to them in droves. However, fortunately for us, maybe unfortunately, we are slightly just out of the season. The flower season we're going to see finished in late March. We are now sitting here, standing here, walking here in early April. We're gonna jump on the subway, head across the river, and see if we can't see ourselves some flowers. Controversial flowers, believe it or not. Let's go.
We are arriving at Wangjiadun East.
Now we're not actually here yet. I got off the train before transferring to line 2 because there's a couple of points on the map and I'm not quite sure where to go. But I figure our local friendly shopkeeper will know, and his shop is at this station, so we'll go ask him some directions and see what he reckons, and then we'll jump back on the train. Tragedy strikes because our man's shop is closed. He did say he's got 3 shops, and sometimes he just comes to work late, so okay. Well, I just bought a drink at a neighboring shop, but I didn't feel good about it. All right, let's get back on the train.
佛祖里，请站稳扶好。
武汉大学樱花季已结束，校园已暂停预约，请勿相信校外有常待客行为。预约。武汉大学保卫部提醒，请勿相信校外有常待客行为，避免上当受骗。各位游客，武汉大学樱花季已结束。 校园已暂停预约。
哎，你们送进去了，要不进去？Hello。
可以进去吗？
可以进去啊。
怎么进去啊？
带你进去啊。
你可以带我进去吗？
对呀。
你是这边的员工吗？
是啊。我也带你进去。一个人吗？
一个人。
普通话说好不好？
They're not letting anybody in, but this lady reckons she can get me in.
一个人的送医50块钱。
50块钱啊？
送医里面整个完了可以，好不好？
行，
你会不会扫个车子？我们过去。
可以。
离站路很近啊。
行。微信刚刚有51块钱。
刚才51块钱。
收到了吧？I definitely just got scammed, but let's see if she can get me in. Please don't kill myself. Riding on a Chinese bike, all too small for me. We are heading directly into a tunnel. I hope she's not going to rob me or do all kinds of terrible things to me. To be honest, she already kind of robbed me, so yeah. Wish me luck. I'm apprehensive. We're literally riding into oncoming traffic. What am I doing with my life? Also, I love how naive I was. Are you a staff member? Can you take me in? Yeah, right. concerned about her skin getting darker, I guess. Fairness in skin is generally highly praised in China. So even when you're running this little, is it a scam? Still got to take care of your skin. We just passed another gate to the school, but it was pretty heavily guarded, so we kept on moving. Man, what an interesting little racket these guys have got. Dude owns an apartment which front door is on the street side, back door leads into the university campus. 50 kwai. Sweet little winner for those guys. Now, one thing I know about this campus is it's huge. I actually applied for a job here once. I distinctly remember I got picked up by car at the front gate and driven to the building where I had the interview. And it was quite a long drive. And then after the interview, they didn't drive me out. I had to walk out, and that's before the days of smartphones with maps on them. So yeah, it was quite a mission. Now, as I may have already pointed out, part of the reason I wanted to come see these flowers, because I'm not really a flower guy. I mean, I plant some sunflowers with the kids at home and have some vegetables, but part of the reason I wanted to come see these flowers, it's genuinely one of Wuhan's kind of top tourist attractions in the spring. But the main period to see these flowers is in March. You make an online booking, it's free, but you have to kind of join a queue so the campus is not swamped with tourists disturbing all the students trying to do their thing. Now we're here in April, early April, so the flowers should still be there, but apparently it's outside the kind of official visiting time, so it's only now entry by appointment or through the back door, like we went. Now the flowers we're going to see are actually Japanese cherry blossoms, sakura, or樱花in Chinese. They've got a bit of a controversial history, and surprise, surprise, dates back to the Second World War. If I'm not mistaken, we've already walked past a few of them. The trees seem to be pretty much, I think they've pretty much done their dash. But there's still a few left on the trees and on the ground. It's supposed to be one spot though where there's a kind of big cluster of them on one of the buildings. So let's plow on and see if we can find them. These luckin' coffee shops are luckin' everywhere. Right, I get the feeling we're getting near the right place. If they've got some sakura on display. Does your university campus have a KFC on it? If not, maybe you're studying at the wrong place. They've even got a Tim Hortons. We don't have Tim Hortons in New Zealand. Goodness gracious me. Right, flowers, flowers. Stop thinking about KFC and bloody Canadian coffee. Now the price we paid to get in, she called it a 门票, like a gate price. Not some guy's backdoor price. At 50 kwai. It doesn't seem like that much if you know, $7 American. But for context, that's like a breakfast you can get for 5 kwai. So like 10 breakfasts. And the Yellow Crane Tower, like Wuhan's #1 premier attraction, is 70. So it's not an insignificant sum in the scheme of things. Now, according to the map, we are very close. There's nobody here. I would imagine if the gates outside were open, we would have undoubtedly been able to follow a crowd of people through, because it's just apparently madness during the peak season. So far, just us. Apparently, these cherry blossoms are on top of one of the, like surrounding one of the dormitories. So the students who get allocated that dormitory feel kind of blessed to get such a famous wee spot. This, folks, is what we came here to see. Sadly, cherry blossoms seem to have done their thing. There are fewer blossoms on these trees than the one we passed on the way here. So the story behind these cherry blossoms goes back to World War II, like I mentioned. Japanese soldiers back in 1939 who were occupying this area of China were feeling a bit homesick, those poor wee things. So to alleviate some of their homesickness, they planted cherry blossoms to give them a taste of home. Now the cherry blossoms themselves, these trees, only last about 40 years at most. So these ones won't be the ones that date back to that period. But once more friendly relations were established between China and Japan, they decided to resume the whole cherry blossom thing. So there's tons of these trees around here. And when it's in full bloom in March, this whole street will just be covered in a thick layer of pink. There's also plenty of signs up saying to keep the noise down because there are people who live here. 这上面有什么呀？
早期国立图书馆，民国23年的那个图书馆，
是吧？
最早期的那个图书馆，
可以去吧？
只能在外面看。
在外面看。
要到里面看要预约。
哦，我不用进去，就看一下外面。好，谢谢。Well, that's a pretty impressive old library building. That's kind of what you think of when you think old Chinese building, but sadly for us, no pretty pink flowers in sight. 我今天来看樱花，但是已经没有了。
我也是来看樱花的。
是吧？你不是本地的吧？
我是出差。
哦，出差。哦。对。武汉的这个樱花很有名，但是
对，
来晚了，
可惜今天没有看到。
对，
今天正好也是到武汉大学找一个高校的教授，
是吧？
来聊点技术。看看上午弄完了，一起吃过午饭，下午没事了，
是吧？
转一下嘛。哎，感觉好像一个庙啊。是吧？像一个寺庙，大雄宝殿的那种感觉。
那是图书馆吧？
是图书馆，它上面写着呢。
哦，对。
繁体字图书馆。有寺庙的感觉。
是的，你归元寺你去过没？
来，咱们合个影。
好，行。
跟你站一块儿，我觉得我好矮哦。
我1.94米。
我这1.8米。
你是从哪里来的？
江苏。
江苏哦，什么地方？
南通。
哦，
南通。
没听过。
因为是一个南通，在历史上还蛮有名的。
是吗？对
啊，因为南通出过一个很厉害的实业家，叫张謇。哦。这最早期的时候，1900年左右的时候，世界地图上是有唐闸这个地方的。哦。没有南通，只有唐闸。那唐闸呢，其实是属于南通。是吧？对。就在那个地方。到了。
我喜欢中国的历史，但是真的太
浩瀚了，对吧？
太多了。对。
不要说你们外国人了，就是我中国人，我自己都搞不清楚自己到底
是啊，
只能知道大概的，
只能知道一点，
大概的，
对，
就知道这些东西都是很了不起的，但是再往下深入了去弄的话呀，一层一层的剥开来去看，就很难了。你看这个屋檐啊，这个屋檐上蹲着的那些，一方面呢说，其中有一部分是用来望风的。还有一部分呢是用来镇火的，防止烧的，是吧？对，叫螭，还有一个叫什么的，是那个什么龙的几个儿子。
好，这我真都不知道。
我也就知道这么多，全告诉你，够哥们儿吧？
厉害，好，我们过。
没有这个事情，是因为是那个疫情期间。
Well, that's it, folks. The sakura of Wuhan University. Well, the trees. We did see a few of the flowers on the way in, but there we go. 50 kwai for a little backdoor adventure. Doesn't sound right, but yeah, we got in. We would have never known if not for that lady who brought us in. Easier to get out than it is to get in. Welcome, folks, to East Lake.
哎呀，那咱们还是同行了。
是的。This is more fun than taking the stairs.